Hey, what's up everybody? Tyler here, and today I want to talk about what's actually better than having an audience to talk to. Some of you guys that are hopping on this replay, I'm talking to you right now, and that's awesome, but is there something better? And the reason that, part of the reason this has come up is just some interactions that I've had over the past week. As you may know, last week we did sort of a little relaunch for the ListLaunch program, which is all about building an audience and the importance of building an email list specifically for where you're going to talk to that audience. And so that was great. We enrolled a big surge of new creators, jolt of energy inside the group. It's hopping. I'm already planning what we're doing next inside of there. But one of the things that in sort of doing that launch and just being more active when you're talking to people is you stir some things up. And that's a good thing, right? And I know we all want an audience so that when we're creating things, we're not launching to crickets or putting work out there and feel like we're putting it out into the void, or we are not talking to anybody. Like, you can only create for so long, especially if you're trying to reach an audience, if you're trying to make an impact, if you're trying to change people's minds or hearts or just affect people in a certain way, and there's no one that you're talking to. It's like, why am I wasting my time? And so it may seem like having people to talk to is the goal, and having people to sell to is the goal, and all of that is good. But something that's actually a reason to have an audience, more so than having someone to talk to speak to project to, is actually a bigger piece of value is actually the fact that when you have an audience, you have someone to listen to, right? Like, and it's actually in doing that listening that so much of the value can be created. And it's important to not just, and I'm someone that, has been hopping on Facebook Live and doing a lot of talks and projecting stuff out there. And so I'm telling this just to myself as well. It's important to, as you're putting things out there, you need to listen and hear what the people that you're trying to reach, what your audience is actually telling you. And a lot of times, usually if you hear one thing, you put that away and something to think about, but you can sort of put it aside. If you hear something else that's related to that one thing, then that should perk you up. And then once you hear, like, there's sort of a rule of three. When you hear something 3 times or 3 connected things and you can put that connection together, that tells you need to take action on something. And so let me just give you an example of this. So in putting out the content over the past week, one of the things that I was hearing was people are like, hey, this course looks good, but you know what? I don't think I need that whole course. But I really just, here's this one small piece that I'm struggling with. What do I do? Here's that one. I just need like 25 minutes of your time to figure out this one small piece. So that was something I heard from one creator. And then I had another creator that shared with me a cool reward that he saw another creator do, where, and this was in the terms of on Patreon and an artist, and it's sort of like, this artist had it set up, and this is a clever little pro tip for those of you guys working on your Patreons or working on your rewards, is he had 2 tiers of art rewards. One tier was sort of like the private one-on-one commission that, this artist will work for you, and he'll do this thing private, and only you will see this thing from start to finish, and only you will have access to the files, and he'll never make a print of it. He'll never do anything with that piece of art. It is just yours. And so that's that level of commission. So basically, you're commissioning that piece of art. Now, that's going to be a premium price for that piece of art, right? Because he's making it once, he's putting all this time, and then once that's over, he's sort of transferring the rights to you. It's kind of like work for hire, right? He's working for hire for his Patreon. And so that's got to be premiumly priced, right? However, he also offered at a steep discount a commission that I will draw what you tell me to draw. I'll give you access to the high-res files and everything, but in exchange for a deep discount from what you would charge if it was just you that controlled it, you're actually giving me permission to share that material with other people inside the Patreon and share the process inside the Patreon. So, it's the same value in terms of what he's creating and the same amount of work what he's creating, but he puts it on the patrons to decide whether or not they want the exclusive rights for the thing and are willing to pay for that, or if they're happy to, hey, this, and it's still an awesome reward. Like I spent X number of dollars, and this artist took time out of his busy schedule to bring my vision to life. Like that's something that's valuable. And then it's actually kind of cool that by doing that, you've enabled him to create a Patreon reward that the whole community can benefit from. And so I had a creator that emailed me or sent me, I think it was a Facebook message, sort of sharing that, and then suggested maybe I should think about doing something like that for the Comics Launch Patreon, where I would give advice and have two sort of tiers at it. One is just the private advice, and then a deep discount if I offered or if I could use that and share that with the rest of the people on Patreon. So that got me thinking. And then literally the very next day, but part of that is also thinking about, are there people, will people actually want that? Are people going to want advice on something, or what kind of advice, or what kind of people might be interested in that thing? And so those are sort of two pieces of the puzzle, and I made a little bit of a connection, but it wasn't until the third piece that came the very next day when a creator reached out to me, and he's someone that's been following and watching these Facebook Lives and hanging out and has been involved in a couple challenges and things like that. And he reached out to me via Facebook Messenger. He said, hey, Tyler, I've got this art that I've been working on. My artist is telling me, like I'm not sure, I'm not terribly confident that I can evaluate this art objectively, and I want an outside perspective to look over 5 pages of art and just give me some feedback on it. Will you do that for me? Now, normally that's not something I do or I can do, simply because there's only so much time in the day, and I can't pull my time away from and bring the projects that I've already committed to and the value that I've already determined that I need to create. Like if I'm just jumping around and giving feedback to anyone, like I can't do that. There's only so much time in the day. However, because this creator just happened to, via Kismet or whatever, provide this or hit me at this time, and I'd already been thinking about what it would be like to provide sort of short feedback on issues like this to creators in my audience, I said to him, you know what, you caught me at a great time. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to record a short 15 to 20 minute video, giving you my honest direct feedback and some actionable advice, and I'm going to send that off to you. And I'll and so it was something that I sort of set the context around what I was willing to do. But because, and normally this would be something that I would have to charge for, because again, it's taking me away from the dreams that I'm putting together to work on somebody else's dream. And so I need to be able to manage that and be cognizant of that. But because he caught me at the right time, I said, you know what, I'm just going to do that, and I did it gratis, and I just with no expectation of an exchange. And so I did that. I reviewed the 5 pages, recorded about an 18-minute video, and sent it his way. Now, this as soon as I opened up the first page, I realized, wow, okay, this is going to be some tough love Tyler time. There was a lot that needed to be improved. And just I spent most of the time on that feedback really tearing into what he had presented and breaking it down and showing all the different areas that really needed to be fixed, and from some basics to a little bit more advanced, but most of it was really basics, fundamentals. But the kind of thing where I knew in giving that feedback, it could go either one of two ways. Either I was, going to be putting a knife in this, feeling like I'm putting a knife in this creator's gut, and that he's, and telling him that his product is not going to cut it. That's on one end of it. On the other end of the spectrum, if nobody ever tells him this, and he doesn't figure this out, then he's going to be spending even more money and more time and more effort going down a wrong path, especially when there was a ton of stuff that could have been instantly fixed in terms of his process and his quality and everything else. And so I did what I did. I gave him the feedback on the art and to the best of my ability in a short, about 20-minute video. and then I recorded it, uploaded it to a private channel on YouTube, or an unlisted channel on YouTube, send him a link to that video. And I just crossed my fingers and hoped that he was going to be someone that was ready to hear some constructive feedback, internalize it. And I even told him, I'm like, all right, this is going to be tough. Go take a walk and think about it. It's not personal. I'm focusing on the art, not you, not the artist. I'm focusing on the art, not the artist. And shortly after, he wrote me back with a big thank you, and that he needed to hear it, and he appreciated it. And he actually was like, "Can I PayPal you a few bucks?" And normally I was going to be like, no, but you know what? Like, I don't want to take, like, when people offer you value in exchange for value, sometimes the best thing that you can do is actually accept it. So I said, sure, here's my PayPal. But again, that wasn't the expectation of this deal, but it is a strong sign for that creator to know that he took that in. And that was his reaction. His reaction wasn't, I got to defend all of this stuff. And no, you're wrong, Tyler. This is the best 5 pages of art that has ever been produced. And yes, this is definitely going to make me a superstar. And you're completely off base and you don't know what you're talking about. He didn't do that. He said, thank you. He took it advice, and he's going to go and he's going to improve his process. And so there's a strong, I mean, I feel like that's a big step and a milestone for him on a career that will have many milestones like that. And so those 3 events, listening to the audience, hearing what my audience was actually asking for, not just talking at them and giving them and prescribing the answers for them. It's so important. Like your audience. Again, then the big aha for this is that the big value in having an audience isn't just so you have people to talk to or sell to or throw stuff at. It's that you have a sounding board to get things back from, to get ideas back from, to feed off of. Dylan's on here, and hopefully Dylan's been listening to his audience when he's doing his live draws and finding out what they want to see him draw. And then coming back to them and feeding off them and getting feedback and things like that. Another example of that, inside the ListLaunch course, one of the things that we do inside the program is that we do, the program is soup to nuts, step by step, but then there's certain aspects of the program that it's like, okay, now I know what to do, but I actually need to do it. And I need to carve out the time to do it. And one of the things that I've found is that sometimes when the whole group focuses on one little aspect, whether it's building better automated sequences, whether it's building better opt-in offers, whether it's finally creating that digital ash can, whether it's learning Facebook ads or getting better with Facebook ads, or improving any aspect of their branding, or networking. Sometimes when inside that group we can do just a focused 5 days where we're all gonna laser focus on this one topic. It's easier to get breakthroughs. It's easier to sort of support one another when we're all focused on this one topic. And so I had my idea for what I thought that topic should be. And I was almost just going to throw that out and say, hey, we're doing this. But then I remembered, you know what? I need to not just be talking all the time. I need to be listening. And so I threw out about 4 or 5 ideas for what Dylan says, I'll draw whatever anybody wants as long as it's Batman. Love it. So I threw out some ideas that I had and also kept another category. And it turns out the thing that most of the people inside that audience, inside the ListLaunch course, the thing that they wanted was different than what I had originally wanted to talk about. And so I'm shifting gears, I'm listening, I'm being flexible, and I'm going to do that. Okay? And so that's one thing that I want to just call out, and the importance of listening to the audience. And so taking action on this, I actually, because I had someone say, hey, I need 20 to 30 minutes of your time to get feedback on this one specific thing. Then I had another creator point out how Comics Launch might consider offering advice, but do it at a discount if you could share that advice with others. And then I had a third creator reach out to me asking for that kind of advice that's a little bit off what I usually do, but is still something within my area of expertise, which was giving feedback on sequential art. I decided to just add 2 new rewards to my Patreon page. So, and yeah, Simon, that's a me. Yep, man. So you can pat yourself on the back for this. So there's 2 new rewards over at Patreon, all right? There is a $100 reward that is private one-on-one coaching. So basically, if you need feedback from me and constructive critique and actionable advice on whatever the most important project that you're working on right now, you can get that over at Patreon, all right? And so with this pledge, essentially what you're getting is you're getting about 30 minutes there, give or take, of my time to review whatever it is that's on your mind and get like no holds barred, no punches pulled feedback and targeted recommendations so that you can make your thing the best it can possibly be before the rest of the world sees it and before it's too late to do anything about it. So some things that you might want to get my feedback on, areas of expertise of mine, would be Kickstarter page design, Kickstarter video and or script, Kickstarter reward structure, Kickstarter marketing plans, Patreon strategy, comic book pitches, art portfolio reviews, script sampling, convention strategies, personal or company branding, audience growth strategies, expanding into new channels, sales strategies, productivity, publishing strategies, dance moves, recipes, much, much more. Maybe not so much the dance moves, but those are all the kinds of things that you could potentially get advice from me on over at Patreon. And the feedback will come in either the form of a recorded 15 to 25 minute long review that I'll record using screen capture technology. And I will, and so I'll be sort of using screen caps to, if you sent me a PDF, I could point out things with my cursor, or I could pull up other things to look at, or we could go through step by step your Kickstarter page design, etc. And so I just basically talk on the video and point it out and just make it super customized for you, point out what I like, what I don't like, and then give you actionable strategies and next steps that you should really take action on. So that's one option. And the other option is like a 15 to 25 minute Zoom online conference call, sort of like a Skype call, only the technology actually doesn't cut out on me. And we'll discuss that issue in real time, and then you'll get a copy of the recording, all right? So now here's the deal. With the $100 level, this material is that we review and the advice that I give is going to be treated as private and confidential. And so the feedback video, the discussion, etc., like it's not mentioned publicly or in any form. It's yours and between you and me, and that's just the confidential thing. And so it's important to note that this is patron only. And outside of Patreon, $300 an hour is about what I would bill if you just wanted me to come do something for you. All right. And so this offer is available at a 33% discount over on Patreon. But $100 an hour, I know, or excuse me, $100 for advice, I know for some creators that's going to be outside of their budget. And so I did also create a deep discount, 75% off of that, which is just a $25 reward tier, which is less expensive, has all the same value, same exact process. The only difference is that for the 75% off savings that you're going to get there, you're giving me permission to, one, share that feedback video in full with patrons of Club Comics Launch so that they can all learn from your issue. And sometimes that's the best way to learn is actually because often we have trouble looking at our own and have tunnel vision about our own thing. But when we see some other creator doing something, and often you can just learn by getting that advice. And so I want to be able to share that. It adds value to the community of Club Comics Launch to be able to share that video over there so that they can learn from your issue as well. So that's the first part. And then you'll also give me I have the ability or the permission, if I choose, to use some portion of that feedback as promotional material or sample material so I can let other creators know what's available to them inside of Club Comics Launch. So that's essentially what I'm putting out there thanks to listening to my audience. So now there's the ability to get some actionable, focused feedback on a variety of things. There's a $100 tier that if you just want the private stuff, the confidential stuff, well, that's taking time that is basically one-off time that I give, but it has no external value beyond that time to me or the Club Comics Launch audience. And so I have to price that at a higher tier. Whereas I'm willing to exchange a much lower price so that I can provide additional value beyond that. So that's what I'm doing. I'd encourage you guys to think about how you could apply something like that if you have Patreon. How could you apply something like that to your Patreon? And whether or not a two-tier system for a similar reward like that might make sense. And the last thing that I just want to talk about, some of you guys might be like, Tyler, well, $300 an hour is what you value your time at? Man, you know, what you must think your ish don't stink or whatever. But here's the deal. Like, if we don't value our time, I think sometimes, and I was talking to a creator who's designing a Patreon right now, and he put a similar reward, and he's thinking about putting a similar reward up for like $15. All right, and it was an hour-long conversation for $15, and it was full script reviews. So basically, he was valuing his time to work on someone else's dreams at far, far, far below minimum wage, and without any of the additional share it on Patreon stuff. And I just think we make a big mistake when we're willing to work on other people's dreams in a way that has no lasting value for us, in a way at way too low a price. And so you always want to build that in. And I encourage you. And I saw this on Facebook, a thread pointing out a creator, like a very popular creator who's created a very popular IP, who his convention prices were expensive. You know, head sketches $150. But you know what? And there was a lot of hate from other creators who were like, wow, this guy's way too expensive and not worth that and everything. It's like, wow, you know, you guys are creators. You guys want to make careers around this, and you're hating someone for getting a good price for the art that he's created, for the art that's taken him 25 years to do it, and this is someone who's created a property that's a multi-million-dollar property and has been, is been wildly successful. And so I don't get it. I don't get the hate. And I want to encourage you guys to charge what you're worth, but also consider the broad band. So, there's things that I do on a daily basis that, the value that I get from it is not just monetarily. It's the connection to creators. It's the ability to, practice what I preach. It's the ability to think about these issues and apply them. And so it's not all just monetarily, but it's important for us to keep perspective about this stuff. All right. And yeah, as you said, Dylan, know your value, and try to find ways to structure it so that you can find a yes. So yes, I'm willing to spend a half an hour of my time going deep with and answering some creators' questions at for $25, and take me away from all the projects that I'm doing, because I know, one, that's going to impact the creators positively, and they're going to go on and hopefully have a lot more success with that. But then I can also share that with the community that I'm building so that they can all learn from that, and then it's going to have just more value there. I got my sister Jenny in the house. Is Judson with you, Jenny? Jenny's jumping on. Hey, Jenny. We're talking about knowing your value, Jenny. You know a thing or two about that as well. My sister Jenny just had a baby. Hey, Jenny. All right, so that's basically all I wanted to say with you guys. But again, the big thing that Judson should know at a month old is the biggest value of an audience isn't just so that you have people to talk to, it's so that you have people to listen to that can give you some of your best ideas and help you make your best decisions for your business and your creative life and your career. So thanks for tuning in. Hope this was helpful, and get out there and keep doing what you're doing. Take care.